Welcome to Terrestrial, the Ted Elliot Mineral Collection. This collection was commenced by Ted Elliot when he was only 12 years of age. It includes rare mineral specimens from the Esridge area, as well as significant specimens from regional and Queensland mines, other Australian states, and mines throughout the world. The collection was purchased by the Esridge Shire Council in order to preserve its integrity for future generations and to help interpret the rich mineral history of this region. The Esridge is part of the Gulf Savannah region and has a significant geographical history. It is an area which has seen centuries of volcanic activity and has undergone extreme topographical change. The volcanic activity brought an abundance of minerals to the surface, including gold, silver and tin, whilst forming a diverse range of precious and semi-precious stones from mixes of minerals and gases well below the surface. It is these rich mineral deposits which gave rise to the early mining interests in the region, with significant quantities of gold having been mined in the area since the 1870s. Whilst the mining venturers come and go today, the region sustains a steady influx of fossickers and tourists who travel from around the world to claim semi-precious gems and gold nuggets from the basalt country. The Esridge is bounded in the east by the Great Dividing Range and set among the foothills of the Newcastle Ranges in the west. Today, it is a prosperous cattle grazing region due to the mineral-rich basalt soils which have eroded down from the Newcastle Ranges. The significance of the region can also be seen through the architecture and infrastructure that remains in the towns of Georgetown, Forsyth, Mount Surprise and Ainslie, all of which formed an integral part of this area's mining history. This region also boasts many exciting natural attractions for the keen outback adventurer, such as the Undara lava tubes, Tallaroo hot springs, the Copperfield and Cobalt gorges, mountain plateaus, rivers and savanna plains, most of which are readily accessible along the Savannah Way and provide ideal camping and sightseeing opportunities.
Lloyd, look at this. Oh, bloody hell.
4 months, mate.
And you did that with acetic?
Apatite. Quart.
Yeah.
That had on.
There's a cooperite and it's also got chalcotrichite on it, possibly native copper, but you can have a look at that when you get back. Okay, it's in there. Well packed.
How much is that one? 20. How much is this one? 40?
No, you've got to be joking.
How much?
100.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I can't get more than that, I'll eat me out.
How much was it? 40.
Yeah.
How much for this, Con?
$80, mate.
$80 for this.
No. No, 40. 40, sorry.
Do you know anything other than 40?
Well, it just... I know.
Now do.
Yeah, back on the, yeah, I've got 2 or 3 of them.
That's a big heavy.
I don't know where you're going to put things in.
What? What's that? Hey, how are you, mate? Not too bad. So there's stuff still around in the dumps. A little bit here and there. Not too much. I think it's been picked over pretty. Real white quartzes as white as that school I got. Yeah. But then there's one there, it's a whole hill. It's just quartz. How much?
Is there any more boxed up there, Ted?
Hey, one more. Is that? Yeah.
I've known Ted for many years. We've both been interested in minerals and Ted's a very keen collector. We place a little bit sometimes trying to buy the same specimen.
Well, this is what they call the tailgating section of a jamboree where people, as you can see, they sell from the backs of their vehicles and sell minerals and stuff they've collected themselves, or stuff they've bought in one place cheap and they bring along and sell and make a markup here. I see one fellow here with a lot of stuff from Broken Hill, obviously he's from down that way. I've met one fellow here from South Australia, he brought a lot of stuff from South Australia. These are the private people, mainly retired people, who travel around and collect stuff to sell, and wheel and deal and buy and swap and all that sort of thing, and then they come to the annual January, and as you can see around the showgrounds here, there's a lot of them. They sell from their vehicles. How are you, Storno? Hello, Lynn. What are you selling? Or are you buying?
I'm selling to a friend. Rock obsession and more rock obsession. No, it was always, it never interfered with family. It was, if the family couldn't do it, it wasn't something that happened. I mean, Ted loves his rock, and he also loves his family. So everybody says, you know, you work to live. Well, he doesn't. He lives to work in like his chosen field. He loves to do it. Kid, it's carried on. It goes beyond motivation. It gets to obsession after a while. There's no stopping it.
Well, Ted's collection would be one of the best private collections in Australia, without a doubt.
Australia is a country that has produced an enormous amount of minerals. We export in huge volumes around the world, but there's been very little done to preserve the mineral heritage of Australia. Most of the museums in Australia have collections, but in general they're in the vaults. They're not given high priority, which is a downright shame. The specimens that Ted has preserved for future generations, you've got to put a price on them, but basically they are priceless. And so some of the specimens that is going to the Georgetown collection, they are irreplaceable.
But Ted was always on my back for, you know, for something for his collection. And I used to like to have the biggest and the best. Of course, Ted had come along and won it for his collection. He tells me he was a fire engine driver years ago. I think he flies a bit low on the road sometimes. And
we've had some memorable trips, collecting fossils up around the north, and we had a bit of a trip in Chillagow once where one of us was driving, and there was a 360-degree spin round almost in the main street of Chillagow. And I never tell stories on myself.
A lot of people talk about Ted as being a mineral man. Ted's not a mineral man. Ted's like an all-rounder. He's an all-round genuine rock hound. Now, a really, what would you call a humane way of describing Ted without offending Ted would be to say if Ted got a hint that something was on the go at some mine somewhere, well, mate, you know, my dad, he had dogs on the property, and mate, the bitch was on the heat 10 mile away, that dog would be gone. Well, that's Ted Elliot, mate. You know, he'd sniff it out.
He wants everything done in 5 minutes.
Ted Elliot's knowledge as a mineralogist compared to a geologist, there wouldn't be too many geologists, qualified geologists with a PhD, that would match Ted's knowledge on minerals.
I know that throughout the years he's bought major collections. He's wheeled and dealed. He knows minerals inside out.
He's just a bloody all-round top bloke, you know.
He's basically a serious, down-to-earth, honest fellow, yes.
Rock obsession and more rock obsession.
I just bought a beautiful little ammonite from the Walsh River.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah. It's unusual.